Everyone, please take their seats. We have to stop meeting like this. Quorum being present, I'll call our 2020 annual town meeting, perhaps setting history here this morning, our first outdoor annual town meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and with our wonderful volunteer extraordinaire on the ATM Planning Committee, Tammy Walunas, please lead us with the pledge, and her flag is over there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Ms. Walunas. Good morning, early risers, fellow citizens and voters of Southampton. Welcome to our 2020 annual town meeting. I'm Robert Floyd, your town moderator. It's a pleasure to serve you. I thank you for your support. It is an honor. Much appreciated. And we have wind. For full transparency and closure, I also serve you by being Southampton Cemetery Commissioner, Superintendent of our 3 cemeteries, Southampton Historical Society Board Member, Easthampton Media Board Director, and there is no compensation for any of these privileges. I publicly thank Carl Keener for his 4 successful years as our Deputy Moderator. Without objection, Carl Keener is permitted to continue as Deputy Moderator for 1 more year. It's unanimous. Will our Town Clerk, Lucy Dalton, administer the oath of office, please? Thank you. Our town meeting is a business meeting of Southampton. Oh, by the way, I've taken my notes, my normal talk, and cut it by 2/3, so it'll be much shorter. Teamwork. We want to get out. We'll take as long as we need to do the business at hand, but we're not looking to set records this morning for duration of a meeting. Our legislative branch session called pursuant to a posted warrant, the official record of what will be discussed, and the only topics on which our annual town meeting this morning may actually take action. I will read the warrant. And you are hereby directed to serve this warrant by posting attested copies thereof in 6 usual places in said town, 7 days at least before the time of holding said meeting, hereof fail not, and make due return of the warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of the meeting as aforesaid, given under our hands this 28th day of July in the year 2020. Board of Selectmen, Select Board members Maureen Groden, Matt Rowland, John Martin, Francine Tishman, Christine Fowles, a truly attested copy, Constable, Officers Return, Hampshire County. This is to certify that I have served the within warrant by posting attested copies thereof in 6 usual places, 7 days at least before the town of holding a meeting. Constable. Lucy? May we have a moment of silence now in keeping with Southampton's culture for those who have moved on ahead since we've last met. Thank you. Our annual town meeting is being recorded for rebroadcast by Easthampton Media on Public Access Channel 191 with Tim Riley, Ryan Arnold, and Jen Ramsey. Thank you. We remain in a pandemic. Today's annual town meeting was delayed by 3 months. You, the voters, health needs come first. If anyone is feeling sick or exhibiting any of the following symptoms: fever, cough, shortness of breath, chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, or new loss of taste or smell, or have potentially been exposed to someone with confirmed or suspected COVID-19, you are encouraged to leave now and go home. The executive branch of our town's government have worked hard to create, weigh in on the articles for our annual town meeting warrant. Their work is done, and they've worked really hard this year. Although some members sit up front by our tradition, they do not have more of a vote or say tonight, this morning, old notes, than any of you in our annual town meeting. My role as moderator is to administer rules, guidelines in an even-handed manner, fully, impartially, consistently. My authority is over an open process that you trust. Your responsibility as a legislative branch of our town government for our articles this morning is over outcome. You have power to make laws, the power of the purse, and to exercise your freedom of speech. Anyone may challenge my process with a point of order yelled from your seat. I will invite you to one of the four mics up front where you describe what pending action is frivolous, illegal, or contrary to proper procedure. Once a motion is read and I have asked to receive the second, then I invite a pro and then a con statement. Discussions must be relevant to a motion, merits or lack thereof. Speak your heart and mind, not read what others have written. This ties the moderator's hands to maintain an open, balanced town meeting that is fair and to all. It's when after a comment is ruled out of order or scope and the speaker continues to debate the moderator, the speaker is directed to sit down. Ready to contribute something new, approach one of the four mics up front. Stand in line to be recognized in turn. I recognize speakers only standing at the mic unless it's a point of order. Address the moderator, state your name and street address clearly. Please direct your opinions, question, answers, and address all remarks to your town moderator. Do not speak directly to other voters to prevent lecturing, bullying, intimidation, and cross-examinations. Speak up to 5 minutes at a time per article, no more than twice on any article, except to correct an error, answer a question. Rude behavior, shouting, bullying, lecturing, personal attacks will not be tolerated. Anyone unwilling to comply with these rules will be removed after their third warning. So let this be our first warning. Those seated up front may remain seated and use their tables, microphones to answer your questions. Listen courteously, vote exactly as you think right. Thank you for your patience in respecting everyone this morning. May I hear a motion for Article 1, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer a total of $1,748.29, $334.29 for the WEX gas card from water retained earnings, and $1,414 for the MIIA deductible from operating stabilization account to the prior year bills account for the unpaid bills from WEX from fiscal year 2019 and MIIA insurance from fiscal year 2017.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this? Who seconded? Rini. Thank you. Yeah, you better go to the other mic.
Okay.
It'll be quicker.
Vicki Morrow, Town Accountant, Pomeroy Meadow Road. The WEX bill for the water department, the company actually misapplied a payment, which at the time when we paid that particular bill, we didn't know, but when we did a reconciliation with them, we found that this bill hadn't been paid because of their misappropriation of a applied payment, and so now we need to rectify this and get the account all squared up.
Thank you. Is there anyone who will be in opposition would like to speak now? Anybody else want to comment? We need a 4/5 approval. Seeing no one wanting to comment or question, All those in favor of the motion on Article 1, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please signify by saying nay. We have met a 4/5 requirement and unanimous vote. May I hear a motion for Article 2, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town raise and appropriate $17,691,925.83 to fund all municipal departments and the public schools during fiscal year 2021, as shown in the town's annual operating budget for fiscal year 2021, and to fix the salaries for all elected officials as shown and identified in the column labeled FY21 Balanced Budget, with reduced state aid from taxation, $27,700 from the WPAT loan, and $100,000 from ambulance fees.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded, and as your town moderator, I exercise my ability to divide the question for your increased participation. So we're going to talk, discuss, and vote on each section of our budget. So the first one will be general government. Who would like to speak on general government? Who seconded that? Okay, he did. Yeah, Matt. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Moderator. I would like to make a motion to amend the fiscal year 2021 operating budget in the general government section. This amendment was discussed at the August 11th Southampton Select Board meeting.
Get a little closer, Matt.
I just don't want to get static here, but this amendment was discussed at the August 11th Southampton Select Board meeting and was voted to be approved by the Select Board. As a registered voter of the town of Southampton, I, Matt Rowland, move to amend the FY21 Southampton operating budget as follows. In the general government section, assessor administrative assistant from $300 to $7,320. Another line item, town clerk assistant wages from $205.73 to $11,648.33. This would bring a new revised total in those two columns from an original total of $505.73 to a new total in those two categories of $18,968.33. And to fund these increases, that $18,462.60 be added to the FY 2021 unrestricted government aid estimated state revenues for the town of Southampton as was outlined in the Department of Local Services July 30th, 2020 DLS alert.
Who would like to speak on the amendment? And just to clarify, we're not increasing the budget per se, which this moderator does not allow, but there were extra funds. Yes?
Need a second.
Okay, we have a second. Thank you. My policy is not to allow anyone to increase the budget at a town meeting. There were extra funds, and so this is the umbrella that we're in now. So who would like to speak on the amendment first?
I do, Mr. Moderator. Matt Rowland, 16 Mountain Road, Southampton, Mass. For those of you following the budget process this year, you'd realize that we made some estimates with regard to state revenues. We estimated that we were expecting a 1% reduction to Chapter 70 funds and a 3% reduction to unrestricted government aid. That was purely based on estimates and a conservative take on what we thought that the state might pass down in those two categories. We obviously had to go through a budget process and get things approved in time for town meeting and in time for our warrant. And we did so and balanced our budget in such fashion. However, since then and since the posting of the warrant, we were notified from the Division of Local Services that the Baker-Polito administration and the legislature are coming to no less than the fiscal year 2020 level funding for unrestricted government aid and Chapter 70 education aid as a baseline amount for fiscal year 2021. And so with that being said, we wanted to make this adjustment on the floor because with that new guidance that was issued from the state, we thought it appropriate to get this incorporated into our budget immediately rather than waiting.
Anyone want to speak in opposition to the amendment? We're going to be voting on the amendment first, then we're going to be voting on the entire general section. Anyone have any questions? Seeing none, we'll vote on the amendment. Who knew we would have this wind? If anybody wants to speak, just come up to the microphone. Once we start voting, no one can speak. Yes?
Hi, Mary Syriac, 3 Meadow Lane. And my question is, since we're going by functional areas, you're breaking it down.
Yeah, put your mask back on.
Hi, Mary Syriac, 3 Meadow Lane. Thank you. My question is, with us actually breaking down the budget by functional areas, are we going to be able to make a general comment on the bottom line? Or are we, if we have a, how do I phrase it?
You will be under the umbrella of each section,
Okay,
and we will discuss and vote on each section.
not
And
just the bottom line.
correct. And at the end, having voted on each section, there will be no need to vote on the entire budget.
Okay, then can I pose this question? You can tell me if it applies. In looking at the budget, we have an increase of $131,000 of spending over last year's approved budget. With the state revenues currently in a situation of flux, and what I've read is possibly a 20% reduction of state funds across the board, with a $3.1 million state funding budget, a 20% reduction would be about $633,000 coming off of our bottom line. So if we go ahead and approve the additions and the funds as stipulated, will we be able to meet those requirements if in fact the state funding is substantially reduced with the existing free cash that the town has, or will we be looking at increased
Your mask
taxes?
is slipping.
Or will we be looking at increased taxes or fees? That's my question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can give a general answer. We don't know what the state's going to do, but to give the particulars of your last one, I'd ask someone from the Finance Committee or a Select Board to weigh in.
Robert,
Yeah.
Robert?
as of the July 30th DLS notice that we received, the governor and the legislature have committed to level funding for both Chapter 70 and unrestricted government aid, which are the two major aid sections to the towns and the cities of Massachusetts. So therefore, they have committed to that level for all towns and cities, and that's what the amendment is addressing. That basically there was $26,736,000 more in Chapter 70 funds, and I think it was $22,699 more in unrestricted government aid that the state government has now committed to us.
Thank you. Okay. That mic may not be on. Somebody wanted to check that mic. This one's on. So again, our discussion right now is the amendment for the general section.
So Tom Livingston, Pomeroy Meadow Road. Probably a general question everybody's going to want to know is that we're making this one amendment in this category. There may be other amendments in other categories. If there are with those amendments, are we going to be at or under the increased level of funding that the state is now telling us we're going to get with us being level funded for 2020?
For the amendments that the select board had voted on at their meeting, it would bring us to the level that the state has committed to as far as revenues.
That answer your question? Good. Cheers. Again, we're only talking about the amendment. Any comments, Vicki? Do you have anything to add? No? We're good? Seeing none, we'll vote on the amendment to increase general by 18,968.33. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, please signify by saying nay. The amendment passes unanimously. And now we're going to talk about the amended line item for general, which is $676,000 now, $841.72. The wind is amazing. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll vote on general. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. General passes unanimously. Let's talk. Passes by majority. The wind, I couldn't hear. Thank you. This is teamwork. I need your cooperation today exactly for this. So it passes by majority. May we now go into public safety? Who would like to speak on public safety?
Yeah. Public safety covers the police, the fire, and our ambulance service for fiscal year 21. And let's see, it also incorporates our building department for the building inspector's salary and expenses, and the e-permitting software in the building department.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions, comments? Anybody want to speak in opposition? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote for $1,878,140.64. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It passes unanimously. Education, number 3.
Hello, Mr. Moderator, Matt Rowland, 16 Mountain Road. I would like to make a motion to amend the fiscal year 2021 operating budget. This amendment was discussed at the August 11th Southampton Select Board meeting and was voted to be approved by the Select Board. As a registered voter in the town of Southampton, I, Matt Rowland, move to amend the fiscal year 21 Southampton operating budget as follows. Elementary school from $4,783,527 to a new total of $4,810,263. And to fund these increases, which amount to $26,736, to be added to fiscal year 2021 Chapter 70 estimated state revenues for the town of Southampton as was outlined in the Department of Local Services July 30th, 2020 DLS alert.
Thank you. Motion made. Do I hear a motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this?
Folks, the explanation is
John
exactly
Martin.
the same as my previous explanation.
All right.
Except that the funds are, in this instance are coming from the Chapter 70 funds from the state.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in on this amendment in opposition? I will vote on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The amendment passes unanimously. Now we're going to talk about the amended education budget of $16,221,694. Come on in.
Yeah, Mr. Moderator, that's not what I have on
Okay.
on my sheet. It was $11,411,000 plus. So if we're
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions, We'll vote under education. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It passes unanimously. May we have Public Works, please?
Mr. Moderator, Matt Rowland, 16 Mountain Road, Southampton. I would like to make a motion to amend the fiscal year 2021 operating budget. This amendment was discussed at the August 11th Select Board meeting and was voted to be approved by the Select Board. As a registered voter in the town of Southampton, I move to amend the fiscal year 21 Southampton operating budget as follows in the Public Works section. Under street lighting, currently listed at $4,000, to revise that to a new total of $8,236.40. And to fund these increases that amount in the amount of $4,236.40 to be added to the fiscal year 2021 unrestricted general government aid estimated state revenues for the town of Southampton, and was outlined in the Department of Local Services July 30th, 2020 DLS alert. So this is the the explanation for this is the same as the first one. We got an increase in unrestricted government aid, and we've decided to allocate them to the street lighting category.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. We have a third amendment of the morning. Anybody want to speak on this amendment? Anybody in opposition? I can't hear you, and I don't know what it means when you're pointing like that. Oh, who seconded that? Francine. Teamwork, thank you.
Hello, Mary.
This is
Syriac.
all new here today, so we're all learning.
Hello, Mary Syriac, 3 Meadow Lane.
Yeah.
The original spend plan showed $22,000 for the street lighting. And with this
Could
reduced-
talk to the mic,
I'm
talk to
sorry.
me.
Oh, I'm
They'll
sorry.
hear it.
I'm sorry. The original spend plan showed $22,000 in street lighting, and it was reduced to $4,000.
Yes.
My question is, the $22,000, can you tell us where that was realigned in the funds? What other element of expense that $22,000 was moved to? Thank you.
Somebody want to speak on that? Want to talk about the breakout?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Matt Rowland, 16 Mountain Road. We went through a difficult budget process this year, which involved some cuts to different line items in order to balance our budget. With that being said, we went through an exercise on the street lights. We worked with the police chief at the time to decide, prioritization of the street lights, and this new revised amount would provide street lighting to the level 1, priority 1 lights as determined by our police department and specifically our police chief.
That answer your question? That answer your question? I can't say yes or no. You're all set? Okay, great. Yes,
Tom Livingston, Pomeroy Meadow Road. What does level 1 lighting actually mean for the town?
somebody, Ed? Okay, Chief?
Ian Illingsworth, Police Chief. The level 1 was determined based on statistical data with crashes, intersections, and pedestrians and bicyclists, and also streets that have the makeup of the street might have a design where there's not a warning for curves and so forth. So it was based on really where we felt that the lighting was prudent for public safety as far as the motorists and pedestrians and bicyclists.
Thank you. That answer your question? Great. Thank you. Yeah. Lucy? Any other questions on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The amendment passes unanimously. Now let's talk about the amended Public Works. Any comment? Any questions? Somebody's got to add the number. Somebody give us a number of the delta of the amendment and the previous total, please? Is that doing that?
Robert,
Yeah?
it's $864,934.74.
Excellent, thank you. All those in favor of that amount, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The amendment amount passes unanimously. May we now talk about Health and Human Services?
And the Health and Human Services portion of section of the budget funds the health department for the health director and the agent, the Sharps program here in the town of Southampton.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition? For, against, questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of $130,432.14 for Health and Human Services, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Aye passes by majority. May I hear, let's talk about Culture and Recreation, please.
And Culture and Recreation section covers both the library and the Park Commission, the Historical Commission, and our Memorial Day celebration.
Thank you. Anybody want to ask any questions? Speak on this? Seeing none, we'll vote on the amount of $160. Come right up. You don't need permission. You have to say anything at any time. Please come right up to the mic. Thank you.
Hi, Jennifer Roberge on Brickyard Road. I'm curious why the library wages has gone almost in half.
Okay, question? Barbara, you want to answer that?
Robert,
You
I
want to
got
answer?
it, yeah. Vicky
Okay,
Morrow, Pomeroy Meadow Road. It looks like it's gone in half because the board, or the select board, wanted the library director's salary to be broken out from the rest of the wages, like the rest of the directors and department heads for the community. So I broke that out this year. Those totals will be a little bit less than last year based on the cutting that the select board did, but they wanted to break out the library's director's salary, so that's why it looks like that.
That answer your question? Good. Anybody else? Seeing none, we'll vote on Culture and Recreation, $160,565.34. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It passes unanimously. Let's talk about employee benefits.
And this section covers contributory retirement, workers' compensation, insurance, our group health insurance for both retirees and active employees, our general insurance, which is our liability and insurance on property, casualty, and vehicles, and it also covers the requirement we're due for another OPEB actuarial study this year.
Thank you. Anyone have any comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll vote on employee benefits for $2,321,362.65. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. I didn't hear any. Passes unanimously. Let's talk about debt service, principal.
And this section of the budget is the principal portions of the debt that the town has voted to undertake.
Thank you. Anyone have any comments? Questions? Seeing none, we'll vote on debt service principal. All those in favor, $208,837.60. Please say aye. Opposed? Please indicate by saying nay. Passes unanimously. And the last one, debt service interest.
And this section funds the interest portion of the debt service that the town has voted to undertake.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Seeing none. Debt service interest, the amount of $62,684.73. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It's unanimous, and we have approved our budget for 2021. May I hear a motion for Article 3, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote the budget of the Transfer Station Enterprise Fund as presented in Article 3 of the warrant for the August 15th, 2020 annual town meeting.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made, seconded. Roland, Matt, seconded. Who would like to speak on this? Ed? Oh, good. There he is.
Randall Kemp Highway Superintendent. This is the same budget we pass every year. Very little change from last year. No change in any of the user fees.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition for the motion under this article? Comments? Questions? Seeing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of the motion under Article 3, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Motion for Article 3 passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 4, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve the budget of the Water Department Enterprise Fund as presented in Article 4 of the warrant for the August 15th, 2020 annual town meeting.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Francine. Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please? Vicki.
Vicki Morrow, Palmery Meadow Road, Town Accountant. This is similar to the transfer station. We have an enterprise fund specifically for our water service, and this total is a few $1,000s more than last year, based on potential increases in the water pump station that we have with the electricity and the loans that we would need to pay back for the projects that the water department is currently doing.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition? Any questions? Comments? Seeing none, we'll vote for the motion on Article 4. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It's unanimous. Motion for Article 5, please.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $20,593.54 from the Capital Stabilization Fund to the Norris School capital budget to fund the replacement of the PA system at the Norris School.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. Matt Rowland. Who would like to speak for this, please?
John Lumbra, Glendale Road, Chairperson of the School Committee. This is to upgrade the speaker system or the PA system within the school and to include the addition of the speakers on the outside of the building or to enhance the system and update it.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition? Yes.
Mark Rogers, 204 Palmer Meadow Road. I'm just wondering how much is actually in that account?
How much is in the account?
Yeah.
Okay. How much is in the account, Vicki?
Vicki Morrow, Palmery Meadow Road, Town Accountant. Currently, there's $154,580.90 in capital stabilization.
That answer your question? Great.
Hi, Jim Sini, High Street. I'm not necessarily in opposition. I'm just curious, how old is the current PA system at the school?
Somebody want to answer that? How old is the current system?
Matt Rowland, 16 Mountain Road, Southampton, a member of the Capital Committee that worked on this project. perhaps the school or John might have a specific date with regard to the age of the system, but what we do know from a capital committee perspective is that it is functionally obsolete and also service obsolete. We can no longer buy parts for this system, and parts of it are already not working, so you can't communicate between the rooms and the classrooms. And so you can't get parts, you can't fix the system, and it's already failing.
Thank you. You give a date approximate?
We believe it was installed during the upgrade of 94.
Upgrade of 94. To answer your question? Okay, good. Cheers.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, we're going to vote. We need a 2/3 majority for approval. All those in favor of the motion in Article 5, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It's unanimous. It meets our 2/3 requirement. No, majority. Okay, historically, we have counted every 2/3 vote because someone said in town hall that it was necessary years and years ago, that Boston required it. We made a call to Boston Friday to Secretary Galvin's office, and they did not know if it's necessary to require a count for a 2/3 vote. Interesting. Couldn't find anything on the internet, couldn't find anything in Mass General laws. I did look at my town meeting time, which is, they strongly advise to count. We have 8 articles that have 2/3 requirements. That's a long time in a pandemic. So I'm going to ask those who are in opposition to raise their cards high and have the counters count the noes, since it is a countable minority. Counters? Those in opposition, please raise your cards. Okay, stay right there. Anybody in opposition? Okay, so I'm going to... Okay. You have the right to vote either way you wish, no problem. It's just we need to have some semblance of numbers, and since it's not a close vote, we won't count the positives. Zero?
Yes. 0.
0. Okay, it's unanimous. We've met our 2/3 requirement.
No.
Oh, I didn't see you over there. All right.
we had to come over here, sorry.
Yeah,
There-
okay. Our thing is that no secrets with the count. Everybody in the audience needs to hear the number as your moderator hears it for all the reasons. Yes?
1.
Good. I thought there was one. Okay. We meet our 2/3 majority requirement with only a 1 negative vote. May I hear a motion for Article 6, please? And thank you for your continued teamwork. We're going to do this.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $25,000 from the Capital Stabilization Fund to the Norris School capital budget to fund the repair and sealing of the gutter system at the Norris School.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Francine. Motion made and seconded. Who would like to talk on this? Go ahead.
John Lumber, Glendale Road, Chair of the School Committee. Last year, you may remember that we spent some money on the roof at Norris to unclog the drainage holes to allow the water to drain off the roof. It's a flat roof. This year, we want to seal the gutters, and the building's made out of a porous material, so we need to seal it. If you drive by, you'll see all the water stains, and that's the water being absorbed into the building that, if not corrected, is just going to continue to deteriorate the structural integrity of the building.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition?
Austin Rogers, School Committee, Old Harvest Road. Usually it's only this windy over here on trash day, but I'm not in opposition. I am for this motion. I didn't think we would have any opposition to the PA system since it was a safety issue, but I wanted to say that the school committee unanimously approved this. The finance committee recommends this. There's a reason for that. It's because this is something that could compound over time, and the cost could compound if we don't fix it now. Also, with any problems that come from this year, since we're in a hybrid model, it could affect students who are in either cohort or both, because we have to close down the school to do repairs. We could have to bring in people to the school to introduce potential germs to the school in order to do the repair. So this doesn't say safety issue, but it could also present a safety issue as well as a scheduling and equity issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody want to speak in opposition? Any comments? Any questions? We need a 2/3 majority for this. We're going to vote. All those in favor of the motion under Article 6, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. I didn't hear any nays. It passed unanimously, meeting our 2/3 requirement. May I hear a motion for Article 7, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $11,075 from the Capital Stabilization Fund to the Norris School capital budget to fund the replacement of the kitchen oven, $9,000, and the hood fire suppression system for the oven and range, $2,075 at the Norris School.
I didn't ask for a second yet. Motion made, and we combined two items, moderator's choice, to compromise a little bit, somewhat. Now, can I hear a second? Maureen. Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
John Lumber, Glendale Road, Chair of the School Committee. The first item is the stove itself. The school only has one stove, so that it's been repaired multiple times. It's literally on its last leg and we don't anticipate it lasting the entire school year. Without it, we'd be unable to provide hot meals for lunches. And the suppression system is an add-on as the code has adjusted over time and is at the request of the fire chief that we add this while we do the upgrade.
Thank you, John. Anyone want to speak in opposition? Any comments? Questions?
Hi, Amy Cooper, Guy at Brickyard Road. Is it safe to say...
Director to me.
Is it safe to say that there is currently no ANSEL or fire suppression system at the school?
Thank you for your question. We'll get an answer from John.
That's correct.
Answer your question?
I did. That's
Okay.
a huge fire
Do you have
problem.
a follow-up or, okay,
Just a comment this is a safety issue then, for sure.
thank you. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion for Article 7. We need a 2/3 majority. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It's unanimous, meeting our requirement of 2/3 majority. May I hear a motion for Article 8, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $23,000 from the Capital Stabilization Fund to the Norris School capital budget to fund the replacement of teacher laptops at the Norris School.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
John Lumber, Glendale Road, Chair of the School Committee. This $23,000 is part of the cycling of the laptops and computers that we have for the faculty on a replacement schedule that's spelled out over 10 years. And for clarification, it was recently announced last week that the school received a technology grant that's going to allow for 1-to-1 ratio for students. It doesn't, that grant of $100 and some odd thousand doesn't address the faculty. It's just specifically for the laptops for the students. So this would just be for faculty.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition?
Pontiac, 3 Meadow Lane. I was just wondering how many laptops is that funding acquired for the teachers?
Okay, thank you for your question. Who would like to answer? Thank you, John.
My memory says 12, but it may be 10. It's either 10 or 12 laptops.
Answer your question? Good. Anyone else? Any comments? Come on.
Austin Rogers, Southampton School Committee, Old Harvest Road. Just to remind everyone, the teachers are expected to do some form of remote work every day. They're working very hard and their laptops are old, which is why we're asking for this money from the capital fund. Some of the days they'll be teaching full remote. We also don't want any
They're right on time.
Okay. Thank you to the annual town meeting committee for organizing the flyover today. That's awesome. Very patriotic. So we also don't want teachers sharing devices, which could be a problem if some of them break down and we don't have any to replace them with. We want to do as much as we can to contain this virus to keep the buildings and everyone safe for the school year. So I ask for the voters to approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Questions? This requires a 2/3.
What's going to happen with the computers?
Name and address, please, first.
Jean-Pierre Crevier, 39 Crooked Ledge Road, Southampton. The computers that are being replaced, what's going to happen with them? And could they be used for kids that might not be able to afford a computer if we have to go online with our teaching?
Okay.
Can we keep them for that?
Question, well, what's going to happen with the existing computers? And can they be used?
Good morning, Aliza Pluta, principal at North School. The principals that, the laptops that they're replacing would go into student use. So we'd use those laptops for students in the classroom. And then when we receive the grant, the remote learning grant that John spoke about, we would be purchasing new laptops for students to take home. So we would still have some for the building and some to go home with students.
Thank you. That answer your question? Thank you.
May
Great.
I make a comment, actually?
Yes.
Okay. And right now, I know Apple is having some special educator deals, so we may be able to double the inventory with that 23,000. So before we thought we would get 10 to 12 laptops, we might be able to get double that at this time.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? We're going to vote on motion for Article 8. It requires a 2/3 majority. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It's unanimous. It meets our 2/3 requirement. May I have a motion for Article 9, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to appropriate $18,000 from the Capital Stabilization Fund to the police capital budget to fund the replacement of the 12 portable radios at the police department.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Matt Rowland. Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
Ian Illingsworth, Police Chief. Currently, we have 2 series of radios by Motorola. I believe our most current is a 2012, and then the other series is even older. Currently, Motorola does not make the replacement parts for these radios. They're no longer in production.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition? Any comments, any questions?
Yeah, just Matt Rowland, Capital Committee. These things are on a cycle. We're replacing half of these, so this has a compounding effect and is obviously a safety issue.
Thank you. Anybody else? We're ready to vote on the motion for Article 9. It requires 2/3 majority. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It's unanimous. It meets our 2/3 requirement. Who would like to make a motion for Article 10, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $56,512.74 to purchase a new SUV police cruiser for the police department, and to authorize the treasurer, with the approval of the select board, to borrow the sum of $56,512.74 for said appropriation under applicable sections of Chapter 4, Sections 7 and 8 of the general laws, or any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds and notes therefore. Any premium received upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, less any premium applied to the payment of the costs of issuance of such bonds or notes, may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this vote in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 20, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount.
Motion made. Who would like to second it? Matt Rowland. Motion made and seconded. Who would like? And by the way, this requires bonding. We have a bylaw that if an article requires bonding, it requires paper ballot. So we'll be having a box, and this is when you're going to be able to use your yes or no. What color? Any color first? Pink. You'll be voting with your pink, yes or no. You'll be ripping it in half and putting in your yes or no into the box. And the pink other half that you did not use, we ask you not put it on the ground, throw it away, but to take it, there'll be a trash barrel or something waiting for you to do that versus letting it fly in the breeze, which is a lot of this morning. Okay, who would like to address this?
Is it too early for questions?
I hear a voice, but I don't hear a direction.
I just wanted to ask a question.
Then you're going to need to get to the microphone.
You have a line, so I wasn't sure. Okay.
Nah, that's for baseball. They play that here now and then.
This is probably a dumb question.
Never a dumb question, especially early in the morning on a Saturday.
Okay. Well, as an individual...
And your name and address?
Oh, sorry. Jessica McConnell, 24 High Street. As an individual, I would take out a car loan to buy a vehicle, but we are spending way more money here, so I'm just curious as to why we're taking out a loan for $56,000.
Thank you. Vicki? Want to answer that?
Why are we taking out?
Yeah.
I guess you'd have to ask the Capital Improvement Committee as to why they decided to do the loan versus taking it out of capital stabilization.
Good relay. Thank you.
Matt Rowland, Capital Improvement Committee, Vice Chair. We elected to take it to do a short-term borrowing on this. Our capital stabilization account was announced before by Vicki. Vicki, correct my math because I'm going to be rounding here. Was about $150,000. Is that correct, Vicki? Somewhere in there?
More like 155, and if you take all the things we just passed, you end up with just about enough money to pay for this cruiser.
Yep. Yep.
So that would deplete the funding that we have.
Yep. So I was going to get to that. So we're obviously, if you read on here, you're going to see some more projects that we're working on. This cruiser has a useful life, a useful life of 5 to 10 years. That's why we're doing short-term borrowing on this. It's basically a dollars and cents. Like we don't have the money in the capital account to fund all of these projects. So this is your classic example of being able to do a borrowing on a vehicle like a lot of people do in their everyday lives.
Thank you. That answer your question, Jessica? Is that a yes? Yes. Okay, good. Thank you. The wind plays tricks with the direction of sound.
Tom Livingston, Pomeroy Meadow Road. Can either the police chief or the stabilization committee just talk about why we actually need a new cruiser?
Is it?
This particular cruiser would replace a 2009 Crown Vic. I don't know the mileage in it because the dashboard lights haven't been working for quite a while, but it's well over 100,000. Additionally, the cruisers that I'm trying to replace don't have in-car cameras, and I would like all of our cars to have in-car cameras. We've been using in-car cameras since roughly 1995, well before most police agencies within the Commonwealth. And my goal is ultimately to get all of our cars with the in-car cameras, and this car would include that. The car that's replacing does not have that. That's part of the expense of about $6,000. Other than that, we've tried to get this car fixed, and the garage that we went to said that the value of the car didn't equate to how much it was going to cost to fix it. So that's the purpose.
Thank you. That answer your question? Great. Cheers.
Donna Whiteley, 52 Maple Street. I'm just wondering, the article doesn't state the length, the term of the loan, the borrowing. Is it up to 5 years, up to 7 years? Usually it's stated
Okay.
in the article.
Term of the borrowing, 5, 7, length of years. One of you?
5 or under.
Good answer. That answer your question, Donna? Yeah, okay. Hi.
Hi, Mary Syriac, 3 Meadow Lane. I'd like to know what the current fleet inventory is for the police department, and also, are we paying any loans on any of their current vehicles?
Okay. Number of vehicles, and are we paying any loans on them currently?
We are currently not paying any loans on any of the cars. We have 6 currently operating cruisers, 4 of which have over 100,000 miles on them.
What was the number? I didn't hear because of the wind.
6 that are currently
Okay.
on operation.
Thank you. That answer your question wherever you are? Good.
Robert?
Thank you.
Robert?
They don't know where to look?
Sorry. Currently, we borrowed last, so in this budget for 21, there is money in here to pay for, because we just borrowed it, a new admin fire truck and a police cruiser, which was part of a bigger borrowing that's included in this budget here. So this would add an additional amount for 2022 budget.
Thank you.
Jim Hallett, 65 Strong Road. As a former police officer here in Southampton, the safety of the officers in the community are huge, so we need to make sure we update these cruisers.
Thank you. Anyone else? Comments, questions? Seeing none, we're going to vote. And it's a paper ballot, requires 2/3. And we're going to use the pink slips. It says yes or no. All those in favor of that yes, you deposit yes into the box and you hold on to the no. Anyone in opposition of the motion under this article, you drop in your no, you hold on to your yes. So boxes, please. Anyone who hasn't voted, raise your hand so they know you're coming. In our school, you may recall, we for decades have passed the box from one end row to the other end of the row, and that's not safe. So again, this is for your safety. Boston had you all standing up and walking over to the boxes, and this moderator said, no, they're going to remain seated. Safer, more efficient. I'm good, thanks. Thanks, John. If you see the box leaving you, raise your hand so they get your vote. Those of you who lit candles for cloud cover last night, I applaud you. It worked. Everybody voted? We're going to let them count. We're going to go to the motion under Article 11, which is what we normally do in the North School if there's a count. And may I see a motion for Article 11, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer/appropriate $8,100 from the Capital Stabilization Fund to the fire capital budget to fund the replacement of the thermal imaging cameras at the fire department.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? John Martin. Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
John Workman, Fire Chief, Belanger Road. Yeah, this is life safety equipment that allows firefighters to see through smoke to get to fires and for rescue. It also allows us to see if there's a fire inside a wall. It's vital equipment. The price of these has dropped quite a bit. Currently, what we have for equipment is over 20 years old. Originally, they were almost $30,000. We can get 3 of them now for $8,000. So life safety, and it's a great deal.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition to the motion under Article 11? Anybody have any comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll vote. This requires 2/3 majority. All those in favor of the motion under Article 11, please indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Passes unanimously, meeting our 2/3 majority. May I hear a motion for Article 12, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $55,450 for its portion to purchase an upgrade to the HVAC system at Hampshire Regional High School, and to authorize the treasurer, with the approval of the Select Board, to borrow the sum of $55,450 for said appropriation under applicable sections of Chapter 44, Sections 7 and 8 of the General Laws, or any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds and notes therefore. Any premium received upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, less any premium applied to the payment of the costs of issuance of such bonds or notes, may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this vote in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 20, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Motion made and seconded, and this will be our second and last paper ballot vote of the morning. Who would like to speak on this, please? Who seconded it? Francine.
Margaret Larson, David Street, member of the Hampshire Regional School Committee and the Southampton Capital Committee. So first I want to explain, this is an uncommon warrant article for the town. So I first want to explain why it's on the warrant, why it is a warrant article, as well as explain the HVAC system issues. So when the school was built and remodeled, there were funds set aside for building improvements over time, because we know that, as we see in Norris, there are continual problems with large buildings. Over the decades, that fund has been completely depleted. So we have our own internal capital plan, and we've been able to manage so far with dealing with building improvements, replacing our track, teacher laptops, etc. That has worked very well. Unfortunately, our HVAC system has been limping along for a number of years, to the point where the control boards are failing, meaning we cannot regulate temperature. We're also having problems with the pipes and the ducting, and so that means we're seeing leaks. We had a major leak recently that caused flooding, and although insurance covers those costs, it puts part of the school out of commission for a while, and we want to forestall any major issues that come up.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition?
Hi, Trisha Rogers, Old Harvest Road. I just had a question. What
What's the total sum of the cost of the HVAC repair in terms of like what proportion is Southampton paying? And what's the proportion of the number of students that we send to Hampshire Regional?
Okay, 2 questions.
Kristen Smitty, Hampshire Regional Principal. So the total cost of this repair is $200,000. Southampton will be paying about $55,000, and proportionally, Southampton sends about 55% of students to the school.
That answer your question? Thank you. Thank you.
Ted Palmer, 71 Glendale Road. I'm not speaking in opposition, but I just wondered if someone could speak to the filtering system relative to COVID-19 and what the filters are going to be in the new system.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's a Kristen Smitty, Principal, Hampshire Regional. That's a great question. So this repair would not address the filter system. We have ordered MERV 13 filters to replace the current filters because of COVID-19. These necessary fixes are to ensure that the air circulation can go through those filters, because as it stands, the current control panel does not speak to the univent systems in classrooms. And so even if filters were replaced, which we do plan to do, they wouldn't necessarily work properly unless this repair was complete.
That answer your question? Great. Thank you.
Jerry Jennings, Old County Road. I just wanted to actually ask a similar question because I was curious about how making these changes to the HVAC system would help improve the airflow and filtration and quality at the school, because we are in a pandemic and we know that that's a big factor. That question has been answered. So I guess now I just want to emphasize that if it's important to make this change so that the filtration within the school system actually works the way that it's supposed to, that seems like a pretty critical thing right now.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
Yes. Jim Sini, High Street. I just want confirmation. My question is similar to the previous two. So with these updates, will the system meet the current standards or expectations to mitigate effects of COVID-19 in the schools?
Thank you.
I think it depends on what standard you're looking for. So the Department of Education puts forth specific standards that I personally feel are subpar, because their recommendation is that we simply open the windows. The school committee has decided to create a safety subcommittee, and they're looking at much more stringent standards to ensure that our current system will comply with those expectations. And Margaret, I know that you're chairing that up, and they're working with the teachers union to, I forgot what standards that they're using, but I'm very comfortable that when we're able to meet those standards, that it will comply with safety expectation.
So Margaret Larson.
You got to get to a mic and announce it and give it to me. Sorry, Margaret.
That's fine. So the recommendation to form a safety committee comes from ASHRAE, and I'm going to get the acronym completely messed up, but it's Association of basically HVAC engineers. And so they've recommended we form a safety committee, and on that safety committee we have our school nurse, custodial staff, teachers, school committee members, administrative members, as well as a member of the Board of Health in Westhampton. And we have also, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education has identified a series of recommendations around bringing in engineers to assess the system. And so we are looking to hire a subcontractor who can focus on our HVAC system, as well as doors and windows, anything where there's air transference, and any items that we're doing now for COVID that might become a permanent asset of the school.
Thank you. Answer your question? Sure.
Jim Sini, High Street. So my follow-up question, I appreciate the work that's going into this. Thank all of you. I just want to make sure we're not putting good money into bad. So the repairs that are currently scheduled were designed, I believe, sounds like pre-COVID. is there any chance that the engineers come in from this agency and evaluate the system and say, you need to change this, and they're actually changing what we just fixed?
Good question. So we are prepared to do a more formal assessment, as Margaret said, to ensure that the money that we do spend is what the engineers recommend. And so we had planned to do that before COVID. This has been on our capital plan for 6 years now. And so because of the sense of urgency around it, our timeline is shortened, but because students don't return until September 16th, I'm confident that we can meet the timeline.
Thank you. Answer your question? Great. Cheers. Yes, Jessica.
Jessica McConnell, 24 High Street. I drive bus for Hampshire Regional, so I'm up there twice a day. We pick up and drop off at the back of the building where the pump building is. And I can tell you, they are repairing that system regularly. There are multiple times when we've driven back there to pick up kids and there's water coming out of the pump rooms. This is not like replacing an air conditioner or something. This is a large system. They have done a lot of work on it, especially this year, so it really does need repair.
Thank you.
Austin Rogers, Old Harvest Road. A couple of questions. One is if the other towns in the Hampshire regional system were to approve this, does that force Southampton to do it anyways? Like, do we have the ability to say no? What is the percentage of voting rights that Southampton has in approving this project on the regional committee? And what happens if we don't approve it and the other towns do? Thank you.
You got that?
I think so.
All right.
So the Hampshire Regional School Committee was very intentional about posing this capital item as an option for towns to separate from their operating budget or to vote it as a separate warrant article, as Southampton has decided to do. The committee understands that this is somewhat unprecedented in the way that we're posing it, because typically we would present it as part of the operating budget. So in that sense, towns, if 4 towns approved it, the 5th town would be required to also fund it. We did not want to hold towns to that standard. We wanted to truly give them the option and be transparent about these needs. And so if Southampton decided to not approve it, then we would need to have a special school committee meeting to determine if we would put in another request to towns again, because it is my understanding that it would not be funded at that point. All 4 towns have approved it, other than Southampton, as this is the last town meeting. So I just want to be clear that if it's not approved, then it's not automatically something that Southampton would be required to pay. I think that's it.
Thank you. That answer your questions? Yep. All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Going to vote? What happened? Okay. We have to wait for the boxes to be empty. I think the boxes are empty. Hey, we're doing fine so far. Excellent. Teamwork. Thank you. You are an awesome audience. Oh, take your other... Yeah, let me... Let Robert wake up over here. Take your blue yes or no, rip it in half, and voting yes for the motion under Article 12, put in yes. Voting no, put in no, and keep the other half in your pocket. Once upon a time, I sat in the audience for an article, stepped down from the stage, and the person I sat near voted yay and nay. And I was perplexed, and I trust that's the only individual that's ever done that in the history of Southampton. Leave it to me to see it firsthand. Not yet. Once the voting is done, I will, yes. Raise your hands if you haven't voted yet for attention. Maybe in the fall we'll return here and we get a chance to wear sweaters and jackets. Okay, everyone's voted. Before we go to Article 13, I'd like to have the results read for Article 10.
Mr. Moderator, we have 89 votes for yes and 9 votes for no.
Okay, so Article 10 passes by majority, meeting our 2/3 requirement. May I have a motion for Article 13, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to set the limitation on expenditures for each revolving fund be established according to Article 13 of the August 15th, 2020 annual town meeting.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Reenie. Motion made and second. Who would like to speak on this?
Robert.
Yep.
Vicki Morrow, Pomeroy Meadow Road, Town Accountant. Every year annually we have revolving funds that we need to, per state statute, set the spending limits. And these are the spending limits for these revolving funds for this upcoming fiscal year.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition? Any comments? Questions? Seeing none, we'll vote. The motion on Article 13 needs a simple majority. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Motion passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 14, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to hear and act on the report of the Community Preservation Committee for fiscal year 2021 and to allocate sums of money from the Community Preservation Fund as presented in Article 14 of the warrant of the August 15th, 2020 annual town meeting.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Matt Rowland. Seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
Robert. Annually, Vicki Morrow, Pomeroy Meadow Road, Town Accountant. Annually, the state statute for CPC funds state that you have to appropriate an estimate of 10% of the revenues you collect into these 3 categories: historic, reserve, community housing, and the last one would be open space. But since we had voted to borrow money to purchase the Pomeroy Meadow Road piece of property with future CPA reserves, that borrowing amount constitutes the 10% that we would have to put into that open space. Even though this is more, we're not necessarily voting on the 56 because we already voted to borrow and we only need to vote once per the state statutes. But this is on here for a memo item so people know how much money that loan for this next year is going to be to pay back.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition? Any comments? Questions? Seeing none, will vote. Simple majority. All those in favor of the motion on Article 14, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 15, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $12,000 from community preservation funds to the First Congregational Church for a handicap accessible ramp to the community cupboard food pantry to provide a means of second exit, said funds to be transferred from community preservation surcharges historical preservation account.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Francine. Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please?
Candace Gunn, Iowa Nikki, 94 Pleasant Street, co-director, manager of the Southampton Community Cupboard. This is the church is not benefiting from this ramp. It is because the church houses it, but the last three rooms at the back of the church are now housing supplies for the pantry. Also, we have an elderly population that uses the pantry. I have an amputee that comes in with a walker. The steps are uneven. It is a process to get her in and out. I have 3 cancer guests, and I also have several with canes. This would benefit it and make it safer. As the statement was, we've already had a few falls.
Thank you. Anyone who want to speak in opposition? Any comments? Questions? Seeing none, we're going to vote on the motion under Article 15. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. The motion for Article 15 passes unanimously. May I hear? Oh, passes by majority. The win. Teamwork. Thank you. Repeat. Motion for Article 15 passes by majority. Can I hear a motion? Actually, we have a count.
Mr. Moderator, we have 97 yes and 8 no.
So our last, Article 12, passes with our meeting our 2/3 majority, 97 to 8. May I have a motion for Article 16, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $7,000 from community preservation funds to the Conservation Commission to restore safe access to and for the use of the trails at Manhan Meadows Sanctuary, which were damaged in last year's microburst. Said funds to be transferred from community preservation surcharges undesignated account.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? John Martin, seconded. Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please? Go ahead.
Mr. Moderator, as a representative to the CONCOM, I can just say that this is something that happened, if you remember last year's microburst, probably around this time last year. I'm thinking we had a terrible storm. It knocked down many, many trees down at Manhan Meadows. We have, as CONCOM and working with the police department, we have closed Manhan Meadows trails for the better part of a year now because there are several trees that are down that are not just any one of us going in with our chainsaw to try and manage. There are several that are overhanging the trail that would be the typical quote-unquote widowmakers that we would hate to have fall on anybody else. And unfortunately, there are kids that are still using those trails even though we've had it posted. So this is really urgent to get this trail cleaned up and make it accessible again and safe for the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who speak in opposition? Any comments? Questions? We'll vote on the motion for Article 16. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It passes unanimously. May I hear a motion for Article 17, please?
Okay. Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $17,000 from community preservation funds to the Conservation Commission for the required 20% town match for a mass trails grant to improve additional areas of the Manhan Meadows Sanctuary Trail System, said funds to be transferred from community preservation surcharges open space account.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Matt Rowland. Motion made and seconded. Who would like to speak on this, please? You got it. Chris? Oh, I'm sorry. Diana, you want to come up?
Diana Fetterman, 3 Birchwood Drive, associate member of the Conservation Commission and a member of the Open Space Committee. These funds are required as a match to a state mass trails grant to restore the very deteriorated trails at Manhan Meadows and Parsons Memorial Forest. So there's a lot of work that that these funds would cover, you know, regrading the trails, new parking areas, trail signs, clearing, you know, the overgrowth of vegetation, new boardwalks. So it's very essential to make it a safe conservation area. It's right in the middle of town, and one of the selling points was that so many people have access to it. There would be benches, there would be kiosks, so it would really be a huge upgrade.
Thank you. Anyone who want to speak in opposition? Any comments? Questions? Seeing none, we'll vote in motion on Article 17, simple majority. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Passes unanimously. By the way, I just saw two hawks go across the tree line. May I hear a motion for Article 18, please?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $53,000 from community preservation funds to the Southampton Historical Society for restoration and stabilization of the Clark Chapman House, said funds to be transferred from community preservation surcharges historic preservation account.
Motion made. Do I hear a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. Francine, who would like to speak on this?
Tammy Walunas, 298 College Highway, co-chair for the Southampton Historical Society. We actually tried getting this going last year after the planted trees, when we realized that there was damage being done to the back of the barn and to the roof. So this, to follow correct procedures, we had to get quotes, and I was unfortunately not getting anywhere with that until we got the CPC involved, and their members helped us tremendously. We got the quotes, and we're coming forward. The main house roof is 50-plus years old, and the back barn foundation, you can see, is completely falling apart. We would greatly appreciate some help with the restoration of the foundation and the barn, or in the roof, to protect our history and our artifacts from town.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition?
Tom Livingston, Pomeroy Meadow Road, not speaking in opposition, but I do have a question. Who owns this house?
The Southampton Historical Society.
Thank you.
It is not a town owned.
I answer your question? Great, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion under Article 18. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. It passes unanimously. Everybody stay seated. That concludes our business for the morning. I will entertain a motion now to dissolve our annual town meeting. Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? This annual town meeting is dissolved. May everybody remain seated. I have another responsibility to get you out safely, 6 feet apart, social distance. So with those on the bench, would you go out of the gate? And the idea is to go into your cars and leave and not congregate. We've had a safe meeting, it appears, so far. Let's keep us all safe.